So, last time we saw how we can connect players into our lobby, okay, and stuff like that. In this one, we're going to see the next step, which is, of course, after the lobby, we're going to go into the game scene and load the correct game scene that the person that has created the match, well, the host, okay, has selected on create match, okay, level 1, level 2. At this point, these are just arbitrary, okay. The names we have over here don't have to do anything with the scene names we have inside Unity. We control that with a list, okay, and we have from over there we load what we want to load and so on. So for right now I'm just going to leave it at level 1 so I can show you. Okay, I'm going to create, and this is the server, okay, this is the host of the match, and for right now we're going to make the servers when he selects, well, when he clicks start, then we're going to load the game scene. When we finish with this, we're going to make it Call of Duty style, which is basically we're going to have a timer over here, okay, that if when you have enough players, it's going to start counting backwards until it reaches 0, and then it's going to load the game scene. Okay, but for right now, for testing purposes, we're going to need a start button. So this is the server. Let's go into our Unity, join. You will see we get the game match, the type, the scene, how many users are already in, and of course we get the status. Well, the status is not going to change right now, so I'm going to select game. It takes a little bit to load the players. Keep in mind we're matchmaking right now, we're not locally, so it has to go on the server and then come back to us. Okay, the players are connected, as you can see, they have the same names, and when I'm going to click start, well, that's probably going to kill my frame rate if I have this like this. So I'm going to click start. We load the first level and we load the same level. Of course, to test it, we need to change and we need to test it with another level, of course, again. So let's do this all over again. Multiplayer, create match, level 2. Okay, we can change the name if you want to. I'm going to click create. Okay, the server is ready. Play, join. You can see that there is a few, the previous server or the previous instance we did hasn't timed out yet. That's why when you are calling for to check what when we are getting what matches we want, okay, because the previous server hasn't timed out, because I haven't yet added when we are losing connection and stuff like that to actually close, or basically because we Alt F4, okay, that's why we haven't that. Yeah, basically it just means the server hasn't timed out yet, so you're going to get a duplicate at this point. So I'm going to click the second game. We have our two players. Of course, we probably should put an indication to what the level is inside the lobby, but yeah, it's stuff we have to worry about later. It's just policing at that point. Okay, 67, 9. The players have the same names. They are all synced. Click start, and voila, we are on a different level than what we were before. Right now, the scene is different, of course, but we're not creating yet any characters. We're not creating anything else. Okay, you can see that it's just the scene that is basically loaded, and I can see that there's probably an error that we have loaded our scene 2 times. So we're also going to fix this right now. And yeah, that is probably because we have 2 of these. So let's close this. Oops. I'm going to close also this. So let's go back to the lobby scene. We are on our lobby scene. So this isn't necessarily how you will do it on every network libraries. This is necessarily how you are going to do it with UNet. Okay, and I'm always trying to find the easiest way to find it. So you'll see that we're not going to add a lot more stuff, but it's basically the strategic position we make stuff, where we add them stuff. Okay, as I said, UNet is doing one thing, and one thing it does it good. If you want to do something else though that wasn't intended with UNet, well, then you have to be pretty creative, let's just say that. So how UNet is, as we already know, when we are using the UNet lobby manager, we need to have a lobby scene and a play scene, and that's all they give us. So the idea behind it is, okay, the lobby scene is always going to be, this one is going to be the same. We don't really care about we've seen anything we need to care about the lobby scene. So right now we only need to see what is the play scene, and the play scene is simply, if I drop this over here, is simply an empty scene. And we should probably also delete the camera because we don't need anything inside the player scene. Okay, so it's just an empty scene. The way it's going to work, when UNet is actually checks that all the players are ready, okay, and he then is going to call on all the clients to load the game scene, and that is where this comes to play, the multi-test scene. When he does that, he's going to instantiate the prefabs we have for the game player prefab, and we have also our lobby player prefab. Let me remove this, and I'm going to hit play. I'm going to create mass, doesn't matter, create. Okay, I'm going to click start even though I'm alone. It doesn't matter, we only want to see what is going to load. Okay, you can see it loads the empty scene, the multi-test scene, the prefab we have that is created from UNet, okay, the actual game object that is created by UNet, and the actual level. So basically our magic is going to be over here with this script. So instead of creating instead of letting the UNet create the player, we're actually going to make UNet create a game object that then is going to listen to the server, says that the server says that we are playing scene 2, we need to load scene 2, okay, and then it's going to load that scene. Okay, pretty straightforward. It's really nothing. As I said, it's only a matter of placing it in the correct place, placing all the code in the correct place. Okay, again, to say it all over again, because UNet doesn't allow us to change scenes the way we want to, if we want to have 50 scenes. Okay, with this way we can do it. The way UNet is supposed to work, it will either load a lobby scene or a game scene. But because instead of players we create a game object that then is going to look to the server and say that the host of the game has selected this match or this level, okay, I'm going to load that level. So that's it basically what we're going to do. Let's go back to the lobby, and now we're going to create a new script which I'm going to call multiplayer resources. Later on we can fuse it with the session master, the session manager if you want to. It doesn't matter, you can fuse it with the resources manager, but for the purposes of the video, of this video, okay, I want to keep this separately, because this way I don't have to load the dependencies we have with all the rest of the third-person shooter project Okay, so this can be you know, we can work with this individually without having to worry about loading other things, stuff like that. Okay, so this is very simple. It doesn't really have anything special. It's just an array of strings, and depending, of course, what type of string, what type of match you want to have, deathmatch, team deathmatch. If you want more, of course, you can add them. It's just a place to categorize or to place a list. You can, of course, also add them inside the network manager. But yeah, you can see that the network manager is pretty heavy, it's pretty full at this point. So we don't really want to do that, to add even more stuff over here, so just create a new script. And yeah, the start button, okay, just a button, has the I also have it on the network manager UI, and I'm closing it over here. And then when we are loading, when creating the player, if it's the player, then it's going to open the multiplayer start button. So here's what we also need to know is when the game player prefab, which is multiplayer player game scene, stuff like that, okay, is this. And let's also open it up. So this is fairly basic, doesn't really have something complex. All it does has a sync variable, okay, and you have the level name. So we should also put if local player. So here's what it does on start. Okay, level loaded has not loaded yet, and if this is the server, then what it's going to do, it's going to go and look on a network manager or our match settings. Okay, we've seen this on the previous video. Basically what we have saved inside, as you remember, and if you don't remember, we have stored our match name, our match type, the integer for the map, which then we translate into scenes, into names and stuff like that. Okay, and basically the other two stuff we don't necessarily want them, although we can actually change them again. Okay, for example, we can change the status to be in game instead of in lobby. We can throw a debug log, although it's not necessarily right now. We know it's working. Then we're doing we are assigning the level name, and the way we are assigning this, we've seen this function in the previous video. It takes the integer to map name, so basically it takes the integer we piggyback from our match's name, what we have for the map, and it's going to translate it to a string. Okay, of course we need to pass the match type. So okay, when we're calling this, we pass the match type. The string we're passing is going to try and parse it into an integer, and okay, it's going to try and get basically, depending on the match type, from the correct list. Now I don't have different and it's not the point of this video to have different levels per match type. We only just want to see that it works, you know, it changes different levels and it loads different levels. So we're going to get again from the same list, depending well, no matter what the match type is, we're going to get from the same deathmatch levels. So basically this is going to parse the integer for the map, and this basically the integer is the index of the map inside this, inside our list, and it's going to return that. Okay, and because this is a sync variable, that means every client is going to load everything, is going to go into the server, and it's going to take the same level name, okay, because it's a sync variable. Basically the sync variables update before everything else. Okay, and that means we don't have to worry about calling or, you know, making our clients listen to the server, or go get information from the server. With this we know that everybody is going to load the same level. Why? Because the server says so. So the next thing we will need to do, if it's the local player, if it's not the local player, and that is why we had the problem we had, that you see that I said it loaded the level 2 times, because it's going to create a game object for this. For each player we have. So if we had 5 players, then that means it was going to load 5 times the same scene for just one PC. Okay. Of course we don't want that. So what I had forgotten to add is basically check if is local player. So if it's the local player, if this is the local player, then it's only going to load the scene, and only then it's going to load the scene basically. And well, the rest of the stuff is pretty much very clear, as you can see. Okay, if it's null or empty, then you have a problem, something went wrong. So for right now we're just going to throw a debug log, but yeah, we know that's not going to be the problem. Otherwise we have a debug log to know what scene we loaded, and then we start a coroutine, and that coroutine, all it does is going to have it's going to load asynchronous, because we don't want it to freeze. Okay, the level name, and then of course we want it additive. If you do not load it additive, then that means you are losing everything. You are going to lose the lobby manager, you're going to lose all the stuff we need with us. Okay, and then level loaded, and then of course we can throw a debug that it was successful, although we will also see it. We don't need this. You can add a hook over here when this changes, when the sync variable changes. Okay, for example, to go and update in the clients, maybe update the UI, maybe something like that. But yeah, for this right now, it's basically this. We don't want anything else. Okay, we're pretty much, I've covered everything I wanted to cover in the video, but we still need to see how we can also hook up the players. So for example, okay, I'm going towards the code style type of lobby. And why? Because, well, it's a pretty known game and they probably know what they're doing. Okay, so we're creating players. Everybody, all players then that are going to be added, that are on the host, that are on the server. Again, let's open this up. Join, we have the match. Okay, we're going to wait until it syncs the players. Okay, 34, 31, you can see I don't have a start button. Let's open another one, just because. And hopefully my PC won't crash. Okay, 2 users. We have 3 players. Okay, so everybody that isn't the host is pretty much, whenever they go inside the lobby, they are ready then to start the game, so they can play. Okay, so it all depends from the server right now. Whenever the server is ready, everybody is ready. So if you click start, everybody will start loading. Okay, and everyone loaded the scenes. So let's do that also. So the way we're doing this, on the lobby player, which, if you remember, on our lobby, on our prefab, okay, lobby player and lobby player script, we have all the stuff. And also, if you remember, we were doing a broadcast over here that said that, yeah, we were basically doing the broadcast in here. I changed this a bit because I think it's going to be make a little bit more sense that way. So instead of doing the broadcast, which I moved inside the add lobby player, which we will see in a bit, yeah, their name for right now is still going to be random. Then I'm going to do a coroutine, which I'm going to call delay ready. So all it does, because it takes until it has initialized and it has gone and added the player, you know, the lobby player into the lobby slots and all that, basically all that stuff that UNet does, okay, that we do not have any access to it. Because it takes a slight delay, we're going to do a coroutine, and basically we're going to do after a second of the player coming in, joining the lobby, and okay, you'll return new, wait for seconds, if it's the local player, and if it's not the server, remember, because the server is going to be controlled if it's ready or not. Right now it's controlled from the start button. Later on it's going to be controlled by the timer, as I said. Okay, so if it's the local player but it's not the server, then send ready to begin message. If it's also the server, then enable the multiplayer start button. Oops. Okay, this button. Pretty simple. So yeah, add lobby player, go to definition. When we're adding lobby player, you can see this is unchanged from the previous video, still the same. All I'm going to do now is add another coroutine, delay broadcast player's name, which is this. After 0.2 seconds, it's going to do a for each loop, and yeah, it's going to do a for each loop, and if it's not the local, if it's the local player, for each lobby player we have, okay, it's going to do a broadcast, and it's basically going to broadcast for every player. Is going to load their names, not just the new player, but we want all of them, because if somebody changes their name, okay, this has to go with everybody. If another player joins the lobby, we don't only have to broadcast his name, we need to also broadcast all the other players that are already inside the name. And since this isn't inside the game scene, we don't care, let's broadcast everybody. We're not inside the game scene, bandwidth, it's not really much of an issue in the lobby scene. Okay, so we are broadcasting, and with this way we can also pass later on information, you know, as to what model the current player has, or what weapons he has selected, stuff like that. Okay, but for right now, as I said, it's way out of scope for this video at least. Okay, so the broadcast name is over here, and when you are clicking the start button, let me find lobby room, start, which is this. Okay, we have on our network manager UI, it's basically just a function. Let me find it. Network manager UI, just a function that basically goes to the network manager and calls start game. So the actual start game function, all it does for each loop or lobby player. Okay, for each player we have on the lobby player, if he is the local player, then he's going to send ready to begin message. You don't necessarily need a for each loop, you can just call it for, well, basically, yeah, since this is the server and we haven't saved anywhere who is and who isn't the host, okay, just do a for each loop and it's going to find the local player, which in our case this is going to be the server or the host, and then he's going to send ready to begin message. So because all the other players are ready by the moment they are inside our lobby, they are ready, then that means the only player that wasn't ready, he is now ready, so the game can now begin. Okay, so this is basically it. Yeah, I know this is might be it's probably the shortest video I did about this, but yeah, it's not the volume of it or the volume of code we had to add. It's just how we used it and how we were placing it, you know, in some I'd say strategic positions. Okay, so it's really nothing. We're basically using UNet as we were expected to use it, but we do a few hacks here and there and modify it without having to worry about going into the source code and changing it. Not that we can. Okay, but yeah, this is how you can do stuff like that. So again, to cover again all of it. Okay, so what we're doing, the lobby, the way the lobby manager for UNet works, you have two scenes, a lobby scene and a game scene. But our problem is that we need to have as many game scenes as we want. Okay, we don't want to have any limits on that. So what we're doing there, instead of loading a game scene or an actual game scene, we're loading an empty game scene that we're also letting UNet create the game players or the prefab for the game players. Okay, and when that game object gets instantiated, which isn't a player, okay, you cannot play, it's just an empty game object that has our script that in turn is going to go and listen to the server to what level we want to load, and then he's going to load it locally, so we know that all our players are inside the same game scene. Okay, it's pretty clear. After that, because we're going to load, we're going to be syncing positions. Okay, then we can actually we'll only have to worry about loading positions, and this way you actually can, just the way I've used this over here to load, or the system will load this way, you can have a server that isn't even a player. So for example, you can make a pretty light version of this. Okay, and every player that's going to join is going to be connecting into basically a bare bones server. So for example, if we say let's create an entirely empty scene, and I'm going to save this, save scenes, let's call this headless. Okay, it's not going to be a pure headless server. Okay, in the context you will say it with servers that run on actual multiplayer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to the multiplayer level loader. Okay, if he's the server, he's going to do the same thing as it is. We need to still keep doing this because we need the sync variable to sync. Okay, and when we initialize, when we're loading the scene. So what we can do over here, we can say if it's server. Okay, and we're basically going to override if he is the server, and we're going to say, let's just call it headless. Okay, and then all it means that if this is the server, then it's not going to load the actual level. It's just going to load a dummy level, which in our case is just an empty level. Of course, for this to work, you need to go on the build settings, and we also need to add the new scene inside your build settings. In an actual headless server though, you won't need any of this. You're only going to need the references for the lobby main menu, because in theory supposedly the server never dies off, or it never goes out. It just changes levels and levels, stuff like that. And that has to do, I mean, about a server that isn't actually a player, that is you know, that you have paid for and you have into a data center, stuff like that. Anyway, we can do a build, although it doesn't really matter. It will work with even our previous builds, stuff like that. So let's test it from the game scene. Although because we don't have a camera, we might just see a black area. So multiplayer, create match, create. Okay, it's waiting for somebody to join. Let's open our lobby scene over here. Lobby scene. Join. We have our scene. Let's wait till the load. Okay, 75, 57 over here, and let's do start. Okay, the actual client is inside the scene. He has normally saved the scene, and the game server, the headless server, is like this. Let's try it again, but in this time we're going to have it from the editor, so we can see the levels that are loading over here. Create match. Let's open this up. Multiplayer. Join match. Okay, loading. Click start. You can see the headless over here has loaded. You can see the multiplayer, the game objects that are added from the multiplayer, and you can see that the game scene is actually playing through, the client is actually in a real game scene instead of the headless scene. Okay, so that means you can make a build, you can basically automate all the stuff that you have to do over here. For example, start, create match, select this, and then create, and then wait till they join. So in theory, any player that is going to be added after that, he's going to be directly added on the game scene. You can automate all of this if you want to have a headless server. Okay, but in our case we don't necessarily care about that. Okay, we just want to see we also want to see how to work with the lobby. So yeah, as I was saying, we have a lobby. You can automate this if you want a headless server, and then you can send that to be run on the actual server you have on the data center, you know, where you're paying for server services and stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, for right now I think we're done. We have we basically saw how to work with UNet and how to find everything. Well, basically how to fine tune everything, how to work with the lobby, and how to load anything we want, and basically do make it load the scene we want. Okay, so for on the next parts and stuff like that, we're just going to focus on stuff we have seen already before into the 2D run and gun, and way back when UNet just came out, which is basically just syncing animations and positions and rotations through the network, and then hit detection and stuff like that. Okay, simple stuff. We have done all that before. The hard part is over, and after that it's only well, yeah, we might have a few more difficult parts, but yeah, it's only about getting into the right mindset. Okay, so you know what to do. Like, subscribe if you like to see more. If you like me to keep making all of this, of course, your support is very much appreciated. The ways you can support me is either on Patreon, which you also get some additional rewards based on the tier you are pledging, and the other way, of course, is to support me via Gumroad by buying a project or two, including this one when it's going to be ready, okay, which is going to have multiplayer, and then we're going to add AI and other stuff like that. So I'll see you on the next one.